What is up, mother duckers? Welcome back to another episode of Mentally a Badass, where we push the boundaries surrounding the mental health conversation. This is your host, Justine Rhodes, and today we are going to be speaking with Rosa Martinez, also known as Reina Mar. She is an up and coming singer songwriter from New Jersey who is here to tell us a story that is going to be very deep and emotional. So, get ready for that. I read it on her social media post, and I almost cried, to be honest with you. And I've been meaning to reach out to her for like about 3 months, and I finally got her on the podcast. I can guarantee that story is going to move you. She is also a good friend of mine from high school, and so I'm very grateful to introduce this amazing human being to the Mentally a Badass audience. So, welcome to the podcast, Rosa.
Hello, what's up, everybody? What's up, girl? Excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. I've been literally wanting to have you on my podcast. I just keep like, for some reason, I just keep freezing and just like not messaging you. And I was like, huh, does she want to be on the podcast? I don't know. Am I cool enough for her? Who
Oh
knows? She's
my
probably,
gosh.
no, for real. Like those.
It is me. It's a me.
Yeah. No, no, I know. I just didn't know if like you would want to be on my podcast. But quick question for you. I was actually trying to look back on finding that story to familiarize myself with some details. Is it still on your social?
Yep, it's still on there. Yeah, on my Reina Mar music TikTok and also on my
Oh,
Instagram page as well.
okay. I think I was checking Facebook. Maybe I thought I saw it on Facebook. Is it on
I did.
Facebook?
Yeah, I also posted it on Facebook on the Reina
Oh.
Mar fan page. Yeah.
Okay. I think I was looking at your personal. Me. That's why I couldn't find it. But
Yeah,
I did
it's
remember.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere on there because I was trying to look for it and I was trying to remember details of it so we can talk about. But I'm sure you know all the details of the story. I mean, you lived the story. So I know I keep talking about this particular story, and you guys are probably like, Justine, what the fuck? Like, tell us what story are you talking about? So basically, Rosa, yeah, so she is, I mean, just for like knowing on social media, she is like an artist, a song singer writer, but she got very personal one day on social media, and the story really moved me. From my memory, it had to do with a moment where she was at the lowest of the lowest, where she was about to do the thing, if you know what I mean. And actually, let me have her tell the story because that makes more sense. And she's going to tell it the best because she's lived through it. And I feel that a lot of people are going to relate to this particular story. And then from there, we'll go a little bit more deeper. So the floor is yours right now.
Okay, amazing. Well, as Justine says, and again, I'm really excited to be here and just sharing this and connecting with you all on such an amazing platform like this. A lot of you know I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been in the music industry for about 10 years now, and I started releasing my own original music around the pandemic, actually. That's kind of like what sparked that journey of becoming Reina Mar and my own brand. And I just celebrated my 28th birthday in October. Woo, Libras rule. Um, and I was just feeling so blessed and thankful and happy to be alive. Like I feel like the recent birthdays that I've had, when we're all getting older and closer to 30, we kind of like dread it a little bit, if you know what I mean. But this
Quarter
birthday,
life
I
crisis.
exactly. This birthday, I was like, wow, like I'm really happy to be here. I was feeling so thankful and so lucky and blessed to have the people in my life that I love the most, pursuing my career that I'm so passionate about, having the Reina Fit, which is my nutrition and fitness business. I was just really just so thankful to be where I'm at, even though I'm not where I want to be. I'm
Mhm.
just happy to be where I'm at because I know this is exactly where I need to be right now at this point in time. But anyways, going on that rant, just giving you the backstory. This 28th birthday, because it was kind of like emotional for me. I've done a lot of healing this past year and reflecting. I heard this beautiful song called Thank God I Do by Lauren Daigle. She does a Christian music, and I'm not a Christian artist, but I love listening to Christian music, and I'm a
It's
Christian
very
myself.
uplifting.
Very uplifting. And I heard this song and it just made me think about a time in my life where I was at my lowest, which was when I was 22 years old. I was living out in New York, And hearing this song, it just made me feel like, wow, like I've come a long way. I've come a really long way from that low moment in my life. But when I was living out in New York, 22 years old, a lot of my friends and family, they thought I was living the life. I had a great job, salary job. um I had a beautiful apartment with someone that I was with, that I thought I was going to be with forever, to be honest with you. So I had the relationship, I had the job, I had a beautiful apartment. I was living the city life. I was working for a theater company, so I was going to like red carpets and like, all these shows. But really on the inside, I was really struggling. I was rock bottom emotionally, mentally, physically, on the inside. And behind closed doors, I was going through a very abusive relationship. Not a lot of people knew about that, because usually what tends to happen in these situations, a lot of the times we kind of isolate ourselves, or maybe that person isolates you away from your friends and family. So you feel like you're really alone. And in that moment, I felt like I was really alone. I wasn't really working on music a lot, because I was just like, when you're in that state as a creative, you have like no creativity coming out of you, because you're
Mhm.
just in such a depressive state. Um, and long story short, one day I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. And in that moment, I really felt like there was no way out. And I decided I was going to make that irreversible decision of ending my life. And I remember it was a night, like, I think it was 3 weeks after my 22nd birthday. So it was like around this time. That's crazy. I went up to the rooftop of my building. I lived on the 11th floor, so I went up, just right up the stairs, and I sat there at a table on the rooftop, and I wrote my goodbye note. And I was also like drinking that night, so I wasn't really thinking clearly, really just like in my emotions. And I wrote my note, and I went up to the ledge of the building, and I decided I was going to jump. And by the grace of God, there was this couple that came out of nowhere, and they intervened. And I don't think they knew what I was about to do. I really don't think they did, or maybe they did and they just didn't tell me. Um, but they intervened, and there was the lady, I'll never forget. She was like, "Oh, hey," like very friendly, very welcoming, very friendly. Like I swear they were like angels that came out of like nowhere. And they were like, "Hey, like come over here, like come have a drink with us, like come hang out with us," just very welcoming and very, and I was like, in my head, I was like, "Don't you see I'm busy here?" Like,
Don't you see I'm busy here?
don't you see I'm like,
That's a little humor right there. I'm a
right?
little busy right now.
Don't you see I'm busy here? And
Oh my god.
something, a voice just told me, go to them, step
Okay.
away from the ledge and go to them. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay. So I went over to them and I sat with them, and we talked for a while, and we got into a conversation about music and how I was pursuing a music career, and my goal and my dream was to become a singer. And she was saying, "Oh, my daughter, my daughter's into singing as well, and her dream is also to be a singer." I was like, "Wow, like that's amazing." And she's like, "Do you have any music out?" And I was like, I went on my SoundCloud, and I had like three cover songs, like to my name, not even my own original music.
Okay.
And I remember I had the Hello by Adele, like that cover
Yeah,
song.
that did really well on YouTube.
I know, yeah, the lip syncing was a little, but
Yeah, I forced my roommate to watch it. I told her to come into my room and we played it on my TV. I keep
yeah,
people hostage. I'm like, watch her. She's so good.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I appreciate that.
I think you.
Um,
No, I don't know if you met her. Okay, sorry. Go on.
no, 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 you're good. You're fine. I do get to meet
I
her.
don't. Maybe eventually down the road.
But yeah, so I got into a conversation with her, and she's like, "Can you show me like one of your songs? I would love to show my daughter." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, absolutely." So I pulled out my SoundCloud, I showed her this Adele cover song, and she was just in tears, like about 30 seconds in. And the song ended, and I think it was her and her husband, or her boyfriend, her partner at the time, They told me, she said, "You are so special. Please don't ever give up. Like, you are meant to uplift the world with your voice." And when she said that, I really felt like God like spoke through her.
That is so beautiful.
I was like, wow. And I remember just being reminded of my purpose. Like, wow, like I have purpose, like I'm important, you know? And I'm glad that that moment happened. I'm glad that, and again, I call them angels, that God sent them down to save me.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe that to this day. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be here without them. Um, so I say all this to say, and it took me a long time to come out and talk about this, because like I've had to do a lot of healing before
Yeah.
I've been able to speak about this openly,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a very vulnerable thing to talk about. My friends and family didn't really know about it. When I came out about this in back in October, I had friends and family reach out to me and are like, "Why didn't you ever say anything? Why did you ever tell us?" And it's just like I just wasn't ready to. And I feel like anybody
Yeah.
that goes through something like that, no matter what situation it is, at their own time or in their own time, they'll come out and say it when they're ready. But I went through a lot of years of therapy. I went to therapy. I did a lot of self-healing, so I've gotten into like a lot of holistic practicing, so meditation, energy healing, and fitness has seriously saved my life, apart from music as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I decided to open up Reina Fit, helping out other women mentally and physically just like overcome and become the best versions of themselves. So yeah, a lot of that needed to happen for me
Yeah.
to come out and tell this story. And at first, I was really scared because I didn't know how people were going to see me. I'm like a
Mm-hmm.
coach, right? I'm a coach. I have an image, right? As an artist, like, oh, how
Yeah.
are people going to see me? There's such a vulnerable story that I have. And I was like, it's so necessary, because who knows who else is going through this? Who knows who has had thoughts like this, or has maybe been in a situation like this? And I feel like me sharing this story is going to help people not feel like they're alone and by themselves, like I felt in that moment in time.
It's very interesting how, I mean, this definitely makes sense. Like when you do come out with that story, and it's very, very vulnerable. I like, me, I'm like very mental health, very open on social media, but I don't think I've ever gotten as vulnerable as you did. Like that took so much bravery. I don't think I've ever like actually came out and talked about like some of the thing that happened to me when I was 17, or things. Yeah, I'm like can't even talk right now. But
Aw.
my point is that it takes a lot, and honestly, maybe it was supposed. Well, the post was supposed to happen. Not. I don't want to say, oh, we were supposed to go through that. Like, 'cause that's
Yeah.
very dark. Of course, I don't want you to ever feel like you don't want to be here. And I mean, you and I both, I know how that feels and such. And I'm a huge believer in like the universe and such. I mean, I believe in God. I'm not like a huge religious person, but I do believe that God does speak through people. And God, whoever is the mighty person that in charge of the universe and everything that's meant to happen on earth, they definitely could have put a thought into these people's heads, like literally go into their thoughts, and then they're just like, oh, let's go upstairs, let's and then see you.
Yeah.
And then who knows if they knew what you were doing. I mean, I don't know what position you were in where you're like looking like you're about to go. I don't know exactly what, like we all seen these movies of people going up on the roof and they're like, no,
Yeah.
but if I mean, if it was me, I probably, if I saw you like looking, maybe if you were like on top, stepped on, and I had to like take you down, then yeah, I'll kind of see what you're doing. But it was very smart that they didn't, first of all, scream stop, because like I don't know if you're on like a ledge or something. And then second, they made it seem, if they didn't know, because they probably didn't want to make you feel any worse than you were already feeling at that moment. And the fact that it was a couple too, like out of like any type of human being that comes on the roof, it was like a couple. It was kind of like, that's insane.
Yeah.
um but I'm like so happy that they did come, because I would literally be, of course, really upset and depressed
Yeah.
and as such if that happened to you, because you're, I would have been so mad at the universe, to be honest with you. I would have been like so pissed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why do all of these beautiful people keep dying? Like what? Like, like I honestly probably would have came off really angry and then cried. But it's just, and it's scary. It's scary too because you have like you're like literally the most humble, one of the most humble people I've ever met. You and Brianna Fernandez, you guys are both like such beautiful angels and like deserve the world. And like she's doing great, you're doing great, and I just love just like rooting you guys on, like just from social media and such. Like even Matthew's doing amazing. Like I just love seeing people kill it. You know,
Me too. It's amazing.
yeah, and it's so deserved. And I don't know if you know, I had actually had Matthew on the podcast,
Oh, super
and
cool. I love that.
yeah, and we talked about like some things that he's went through, and it's just like I feel like everybody, just like people who have like the most rewarding lives, always go through shit, like for real.
Yeah, and you know what? And I will add to that. Because I used to a lot of the times victimize myself or
Oh yeah.
judge the
Mhm.
journey that I've been on, and I feel like the journey that we're on builds us up to our highest selves and
Yeah.
who we are meant to be. And these moments sometimes they happen, right? It's the inevitable and they're going to happen, but instead of victimizing ourselves and instead of like beating ourselves up or feeling like the universe is against us, those moments happen to build us up. And
Yeah.
I would have never in my life thought that I'd be writing, music to uplift the world and even coaching and helping other women that went through the same thing that I went through. I mean, I would never say, you have to be at that lowest moment to build right?
It's
But
just a pattern
everybody's
that we're kind of seeing. Here's what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it took me a while to not judge the journey that I was on and to accept
Mhm.
it and to
Yeah.
forgive myself for having a moment like that because and I'm still healing and I'm still forgiving myself for getting to that moment.
Mhm.
That's still a process I'm going through.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's like one of those things like we're only human and sometimes we break down and we have those moments and it's okay. And I want people to know that it is okay to
Mhm.
not be okay.
Yeah.
And I think like one of the reasons why I had a moment like that is because like I had an image. Everyone was like, oh well, Rosa's like the positive one. Rosa has a great
Mm.
job and she's a singer and she's funny and she's this and that, and I wanted to uphold that image. And all the emotions that was going on with me, I kept it inside, and I was like, no one can see this. And I feel like that's what happens to a lot of people. They bottle all that up inside
Yeah.
and they're not their true authentic selves, and they don't reach out for help when they need it because they're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of like, oh well, how are people going to look at me, especially a lot of these artists. And I mean, look at Robin Williams. I mean, like,
Yeah.
oh my god, a comedian. And I guess like the message behind me sharing this story is ask for help. If
Mhm.
you're not okay, it's okay because again, we're only human.
It's
Like
it should
it's
be
okay.
normalized that if you are like in the trenches and such, like no
Yeah.
one should feel like shamed for that. Another thing which is really the reason why I started this podcast and have mentally battles on social media is because I did share my mental health struggles earlier on before there's all these mental health brands outside. I don't know if you remember, but I would once in a blue moon, if I went through something, I would share it like on my Instagram. It would be like one like a long ass post, and it would do so well, like the engagement. And then I would have people in my DMs, like saying like, "Oh my gosh, like you helped me so much telling your story." And this was just me just telling my story. And that's kind of like where I was like, "Oh," and at first I wanted to just like switch my YouTube channel to doing like mental health stuff, but then it wasn't like performing as well. It was a different social media world then. And then I was like, okay, well, podcasts are starting to become more popular because this is a conversation where a lot of people could just be listening, like in like any, I don't know, cooking or cleaning or this. Like at least that's how I listen to my podcast. And then now it's kind of crazy. Like now it's kind of switching back where like video is like more in now. It's very interesting. That's a
Yeah.
whole other story.
Gotta
It's
love
like,
the algorithm.
oh my god, it's like now video podcasts are in, and so now I have to obviously we have to evolve with it.
Yep.
But anyway, my point was that so that's when Mentally a Badass, was born. And now I, you know with the algorithm, how it's very interest based on Instagram, that's how people are like finding me. And you know what I do? Every time we get a new follower, me and Ariel, whoever's not busy at the time, we send a message and we like, obviously say thanks for following, welcome, yada yada yada. We have a podcast, whatever. But at the end, I always put like, oh, how did you find us? Because like that's like the biggest thing. It's like I want to know how you're finding me. And a lot of people were like, a lot of the same answers were, one, you were referred to me by Instagram. Two, it would be like I struggle with so like anxiety, OCD, bipolar, like literally they have like a laundry list. And I was like, so they're really like in a very dark, dark space.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, I just love the Instagram algorithm so much, is because I'm finding these people who are finding me. Hence, this is where I'm like creating this platform where, people like you, hence the name Mentally a Badass, like you are doing amazing things and people are going to, when they're interested in seeing who you are, and you're going to see on your social media, you do look like, the whole image thing, even though I like image is at the end of the day, like in the industry that you're in, just reality is, yeah, it is important when it comes to building. That's just, you and I both know it's like we do go through our mindset is like, you're beautiful the way you are. Yeah, yeah. And we do believe deep, deep to the core of that. But when it comes to the industry, it's like we do have to think about image, unfortunately. And that's just the reality of life. And um like sometimes I even like I get like with my eye doctor, with my whole eye problem, I complain to him about it. I'm like, I know this sounds vain, but it's like I'm on social media a lot. And I don't just on my own social media. I'm on filming videos for my clients.
Yeah.
So I'm in front of their audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, it's just this, which is also just really that like horrible for our own like mental health, like deep, deep down. It's like I don't know about you, how you were in high school, but I had a low self-esteem, like a very low self-esteem. Like I don't know if like you knew how much people didn't like me and how people didn't think I was attractive and whatever. Like I already deal with that. And so it's like now it's
That
like
on top of it did not help. Yeah.
exactly. It's like, do you ever feel like that too?
Oh my god, yeah.
Like
No,
I don't know how your
absolutely.
self-esteem was in high school. Like I feel like, we were friends in high school, but we weren't like super close where we like know each
Yeah.
other's deepest darkest secrets.
Yeah, 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 for sure. But we were
So
always cool. We were always
we're always
cool.
cool. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
always cool. We're
Yeah.
friends. Like, during like the play season, I think we'll go out like with the whole play people and we'll always be involved in like bigger groups.
Yeah.
But I don't think we like really like knew each other like deep to the core. So I'm like asking you now, I'm curious, like how was like your mental health and your self-esteem like growing up like in high school? And I mean I didn't know you in grade school. I think, did you go to school in Little Ferry?
Yeah, yeah, I went to school in Little
Uh,
Ferry. Yeah.
oh, okay. I didn't
But
know. Okay.
yeah, like I definitely 100% had moments of of having low self-esteem. I remember one thing that I used to get teased about was my hair, like my curly hair.
Oh, really?
I used to straighten. Yeah, I actually did a post when I because I've been rebranding a little bit, and
Hmm.
I did a shoot where I had my curly hair like natural, and a lot of girls that I went to school with, also in grade school and also high school, they used to tease me for having curly nappy hair and
I
like
wonder who this
like
was.
tame your
That'd be off
curls.
conversation.
I know, right?
I want to know this person.
There's a few names that come to mind, but yeah. So I
Okay.
used to straighten my hair to the point, I remember one day I burnt my hair off. Like my hair
Oh my
was
god, really?
so burnt from me straightening it because I was so ashamed of my hair and how it looked. And then I also went through an eating disorder my freshman year of high school, which a lot of people don't know.
I, I
Um
feel like I kind of
yeah,
maybe it's kind of like a little bit in my head, like
yeah, I was like, I went through the whole thing of eating my food and throwing it up because I thought, oh, well, I'm gonna be skinny because like that was around the time where we started becoming kind of self-aware of our body, and how it looked, like just
yeah.
by what other people said about it, and not to go into it in depth, but I was throwing up my food. I would eat it and throw it up. There would be times that I wouldn't eat for like 3 4 days. I had like no food in my system, and I
Oh,
ran into trouble when I was running track and field my freshman year, because I was obviously, I was an athlete, I was doing the plays and
yeah,
performing, so obviously I'm
yeah,
exerting a lot of energy and I'm not like eating.
yeah.
And I was in Harlem at an indoor track meet, and I ran the 400 rate, the 400-meter race, and I passed out at the end of the race. And my friends at the time, some of them knew like what I was going through, and they went to the
Mm-hmm.
coaches, and then the coaches told my parents, and they took me to the doctors, and they were like, you gotta eat. If you don't eat, we're gonna hospitalize you, and then you're not
Oh.
gonna see your friends and family. And like, we don't want to go there. And like, I feel like that kind of like snapped me out of it. I was like, I don't want to put my body through this anymore. Like, I give me that arroz con pollo, give me all that food. Like, I need it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
You're making me hungry right now.
Yeah, but absolutely, you were definitely not alone, and I'm sorry that you felt like felt that way too. And I'm so sorry that other people were just really like mean. That just shows like their insecurity. They're project when people are
Oh
mean like
yeah,
that, they're just projecting their insecurities onto
but they all like
you.
my photos now on Instagram, so it's okay. I think
Yeah,
it,
right.
and I know that kind of sounds very like passive at them, but all
Yeah,
these particular people that were like not that great to me are like all like religiously watching my stories every day and
yeah,
like liking everything. It's just wow. Okay, kind
yeah,
of had a little bit of like a power move or whatever, but I know it's like obviously crap what we both went through. I mean, wow, I just like I feel like I kind of vaguely remember. I don't know, maybe you told me or in a group we were in or something. It
I would.
kind of sounds
I've been. Yeah,
familiar.
I've been on. I've posted it on more on my Raina Fit page
Maybe I
because
saw it
like,
on there.
yeah, I've posted
Maybe.
more a little bit. Again, this is recently. I've just really recently, like in the past year, been just really coming out with like my story and like everything I've been through. Again, because like I've done the healing to be able to do that, and I'm
Right,
officially allowed
yeah.
to do that. Um, but another thing I wanted to mention, Justine, and it goes
Mhm.
back to like my story of what I went through when I was, 22 and high school, grade school, what we went through. Just be fucking kind to people. Like,
I
you
know. Like
never
how hard can it
know.
be?
You never
Like
know what the fuck people are going through. You
yeah.
never know. And that's why it's just, especially like, during the holiday season, I made a post on
Mhm.
Facebook. It's like, you don't know what people are going through. Like, don't be rude, don't be an asshole. And I feel like when we were younger, obviously they're learning too. Like, we probably
Yeah.
weren't
We
like,
all
we
had our own
probably,
demons.
yeah, we probably were kind of mean to people too sometimes, like we're
Yeah,
growing up
yeah.
and developing, but it's like, now we're adults, like, come on, like,
Yeah.
be kind, because again, you don't know what people are going through. And that couple that day, if they weren't as kind to me and inviting, I wouldn't be here right now. So it's like, you can be that saving angel to another person just by being kind to them. And that's
Yeah.
another reason why I shared that story, because it's like, enough is enough with being pinned against each other and judging each other for God knows what, for the dumbest things, honestly,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's especially lately. I mean, I know you did post something lately about like the whole being kind. It also just what's going on in the world, but I also feel like social media is just I mean, social media's always had moments where it's like negative, but now it's like lately has been getting way
Yeah,
worse. And I try my best to just like follow like all the good stuff, but Facebook is really hard because
yeah,
people on Facebook, I have them as friends not because oh I like their content. It's like people just I've known throughout my whole life, like people from grade school, high school, whatever. Like I've had that Facebook since 2009.
yeah,
So some people are sharing things where it's like so like frustrating to me. Like I'll give you an example. One thing I really hate is when people bully celebrities. I hate
yeah,
it. It pisses me off. I hate what people say about the Kardashians. Like I it just despises me when people have so much to say about someone who they don't even know. And you and I both know as just content creators is that it's so easy to mislead anything.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
can make it I can probably be very successful and pretend I'm like in Paris for like You know how easy that would be? I just go to Epcot and just take a bunch of photo shoots and do it at a certain angle, and I'd be like, "Oh wow, I'm in Paris for a week," and just put the location. Like, I know it's just a very like small, like minor example, but like it's just it pisses me off when so basically let me step back. So there was a recent I was scrolling and someone shared like an article about Kim Kardashian saying, oh, Kim Kardashian said that people in Gen Z didn't know who Marilyn Monroe was, only knew who Marilyn Monroe was because of her. Like that was what the headline was. But I was like, I knew that wasn't like how it went down because I do watch like the actual reality show, and the reality show is like produced by them, so they can like it's not gonna be like a big. I mean, Hulu. It's Hulu, obviously, but like they have a lot of rights on like what is being shown, so they can show like what they want to show, which I know that can actually be good and bad. But like I can tell when things are cut out. Like
Yeah.
just from like me editing like all the time, I'm like I can tell when something is being like edited out. So I watched the show to see like deeper into their actual lives, and what happened was because this article was clearly written from that one scene on the Kardashians. And basically, I think Kim was just like getting ready, whatever, getting her makeup, and she was just talking to the people around her, and they were like, she was on her phone. She was like, "Oh my god, I'm seeing on TikTok that apparently people didn't know who Marilyn Monroe was until the whole dress thing. That's insane." Like she said it like that, and that just shows right there that she was shocked that
Wow.
people didn't know who Marilyn Monroe was, and that they only found out who she was because of the whole scandal thing with the dress.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
oh people only know about Marilyn Monroe because of me. Like no, like she wasn't being egotistical. Like it was complete. And then also if you click the like actual article and read it, it talks more detail, and it's like. Oh, okay, yeah. She was shocked. It did say that in the article because it makes sense because when you write articles, you can't just like post like completely fake, if you know what I mean, like completely lying. Like you have to have some truth in your articles, otherwise it won't be approved by publications. So, but obviously the headline has to be clickbait because that's just the reality. So, but what annoying is that like they know that people are going to be sharing it on Facebook,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
people don't actually care enough to read the article. They just automatically hate the Kardashians. They're like, oh, they're a bunch of idiots, and blah, blah, blah. They automatically hate them because of their whole just already opinion about them. So they're like, oh, I don't need to read it. I already
Yeah.
see the headline. And I'm like, I commented on it and I asked that person, and I was like, did you read the article? They're like, no. I'm like, and I
That's
said, okay, well, this
ridiculous.
is exactly what happened. I like explained it. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. But yeah, I just don't like her. I'm like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I mean, obviously you can dislike whoever you want. It's your life. But in my opinion, I'm like, why do you want to put that kind of like why do you want to take use your energy towards hatred?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for someone who like doesn't even know you exist. Like it
It
just
it
pisses me
is.
off.
It's terrible. And honestly, it's like and I honestly I used to be like the type of person that cared about like everything, like everybody like what everyone thought of me, and that's one of the reasons why
I
I didn't
used to
share my
too,
stories.
yeah.
You know,
I
and
feel
I
it's
feel like
more
we've
it's
all
yeah.
like,
We've all
and
been there.
we've had the
Yeah.
people pleaser syndrome as well. I'm a
Mhm.
recovering people pleaser, just saying. You know, and I feel like it's just like it, it takes more effort for you to go on someone's post and
Mhm.
like negative spread a negative comment, and you know that person's obviously going to see that, like it might freaking ruin their day, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
me, like I'll see comments like that and now it doesn't affect me as much. I'm kind of like, oh
I
whatever, you
just
know, that
laugh
person
at
has an opinion.
them.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, great, goodbye, you know. But like
Yeah.
other people it'll hit them, like it'll really like affect them, and I'm sure like a lot of these celebrities, it hits them too, like they're
Yeah.
human too.
And they talked about it too.
Yeah, and it's like, why would you like take the time out of your day to go and like spread negativity like that? Like if you obviously don't agree, and listen, there's plenty of stuff. There's some celebrities I don't like. There are
Yeah.
certain things I and posts I see that I don't like, but I'm not gonna go out of
Yeah.
my way to like go and ruin that person's day, because at the end of the day, they're still human. They're not a bad person. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's crazy, but I feel like with time, at least me personally, I've just learned how to drown those people out. and focus on the people that are reacting in a positive way, that support me, that love me, and just being present in that space. But there's always going to be people, always 100% of the time, that are not going to be on board with what you do or who you are. And
Mhm.
it's just like, all right, well, good luck, like thank
Yeah.
you, but like, all right, cool, like you stay over there, I stay over here, I'm gonna do my thing, I don't have an issue with you, but like, okay, like you don't want to be in my circle and vibe with
Yeah,
me, it's
it's
okay.
totally fine. There's like what? How many billion people in this world?
Yeah.
Like, is it 9 now? I don't know. But, actually, a piece of advice that really helped me a lot, and you know this person, our chorus teacher.
Oh, so
When I was going through some dark moments in high school,
oh,
he was like a safe place for me.
he was for me too. He was
Yes,
for me
yes.
too.
He just had like that energy where you feel comfortable,
Yeah.
like just some
Yeah.
people just have like that welcoming energy and like you can be vulnerable around them. So I don't know what I was going through at that moment, but I
Yeah.
can still envision where I was. I was sitting in the front row and I think I was like, I don't know, I was venting about something. And he said to me, he said, Justine, high school is a fishbowl. Once you graduate, you're gonna go into the sea of fishes and such. Like
Wow,
she
that's
was
a great
like
analogy.
I mean, basically he was just saying obviously what's happening now is not gonna matter in like 10 years, which is, we know that, but at the time we knew just like in a dark moment. But this just like his metaphor.
Yeah.
And after we graduated high school, and I moved to Florida, I moved to a whole different state, and like it's just, and you moved to New York. I don't know where you live right now. Where do you live right now?
And I'm in I'm in Little Ferry. I'm back in Little Ferry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, I didn't know
Mhm.
that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, just traveling too and just like the internet just making friends from all over the world. And I talk to people on this podcast from literally all over the world. Like I've interviewed people from like England and stuff.
I
Like
love
I had a
that.
lot of
Wow, that's
Canadians. Yeah,
incredible.
it's
That's
cool. And they
incredible.
find me and such. So,
Wow.
um, and so what's the greatest thing now is that it was definitely very hard in high school. When you're in high school, it's like you got to deal with these same people every day.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, and that's where it was just like it would put like that's where it was kind of like some of my darkest moments. It's like I felt very alone. It's because I was different. Like my brain does not operate like a lot of people. Like I
Sure.
have like the I have ADHD, BPD, bipolar, like all of that. Like it's just harder for me than other people. And so, I never I mean, I do still have some good friends from high school, like don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah.
overall, like I was pretty much an outcast in high school, I feel like.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
you
And I'm so
you
sorry. I'm so sorry you felt that
No,
way.
but you are
I'm
very
so
nice to
sorry.
me.
Yeah.
I feel like I bonded very well with the theater people. Like those I feel like those were like my people,
Yeah.
And like the energy, like oh god, I miss those. Those days were so much fun.
I know they were. They
Uh,
seriously were. I mean, I know there was some intense moments, right? Like
oh, I'm
we've all
sure.
had. But,
I'm sure.
like I was fortunate enough to be like around, at least like I wouldn't even say like I had my clique. I was just friends
You were
with
kind of
everyone.
like,
I was
yeah, with
friends with
everybody. You're one,
everybody.
yeah,
The athletes, I was friends with the
yeah,
people that in theater, like I didn't really have like,
a
a
click.
clique or anything. There are definitely some cliques that were in our class, but yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
I just if you were cool and you were nice and you were kind and you were a good person, you had a good vibe, I was kicking it with you, like I was with
Yeah,
you.
no, it's true. Like the way
Eh,
my mom taught me is like as long as they're nice to you, like that should be the only thing that matters.
yeah, yeah,
And it's true. And then of course, probably self-destructive me, probably made friends with people who weren't nice to me, but that's just no whole other story.
yeah, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, and I just realized we're kind of like already hitting almost 40 minutes. So hopefully I kind of want to throw it into the podcast. It was supposed to be like way in the beginning, and then I
Oh
just
no,
kind
it's
of
okay.
we
It's all
yeah.
good.
You mentioned that you were in an abusive relationship before, you had the moment of potentially wanting to end your life. You said they were isolating you. So can I like to talk a little bit more, I guess, in depth about that?
Sure.
And so this person, were they not like when you say abusive? Can you elaborate a little bit more, like what this person did to you and how you got out of that abusive relationship? We can just dive in like quickly into that.
Absolutely. So definitely like gaslighting, emotional abuse. It did turn physical at certain aspects, not as often as the emotional abuse, but physical as well. Um honestly, on like every aspect, it was intense. So the reason why, like, it's just like he would make me feel guilty for going to hang out with my friends and family without him, because we lived in New York at the time. And I would want to go home and like maybe hang out with my mom or go and hang out with my friends, and he always made me feel some type of way, like, if he wasn't included, if he couldn't go, right. Sometimes I'd want to just go out and have like a girls day with like my cousin or some of my
Yeah.
friends, and it was always like he always never said, oh, it's an issue, but he always hinted at it. There's that
Mm.
subtext there. So things like that. And um also at the time, the reason why I felt so trapped and like I didn't have a way out is because like my parents were actually going through a separation at the time. And they were about to move out of the house that we lived in here in Little Ferry. My brother was gonna like go his separate way to like Florida in a little
Yeah.
bit. They were gonna go their separate ways, so I
Oh.
felt like, oh my god, there's turmoil going on back home. Why would I, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to like mess things up even further. That's what I was telling myself in that moment. Like, I felt I like
Um.
trapped myself. Like, yes, like he did isolate me from my friends and family, but it was like a self-destruction as well, because I also pulled away from,
Kind of like
you
the
know,
people pleasing too, in a
yeah,
way.
yeah, because I didn't want, like, oh my god, like my mom and dad are going through a divorce, and then my brother as well was going through his mental health issues. My brother was
Hmm.
hospitalized twice.
I'm sorry.
He also had
I miss him. I should probably
moments.
like say hi to
I
him.
know.
He's always supporting me on my
He's
liking
great. My
everything.
brother is
He
he's just amazing.
is.
He's
He's so
amazing.
amazing.
And my brother has also had really dark moments where he's almost ended it. And I'm very thankful and glad he's here, and he's one of the reasons why I'm still here, because he's just inspired me from how resilient he's been. And just briefly going into my brother's story, branching off into that, but like um he failed in nursing school here in New Jersey. He was in one of the best top programs there were. In the last semester, he failed and he entered a really dark state.
Hmm.
And for him to pick that up and do it all over again, he moved all the way to another state, to Florida, to then start another nursing program all over again. And now he's a nurse. He's a registered nurse of the state
Oh,
of Florida. Like,
remind
if
me, I have to
you
get him
don't,
on the
oh
podcast.
yeah, you totally should
Where, wait,
interview
where
my
is he
brother.
in Florida right now?
He is in Port St. Lucie. He's in
Okay, I
Port
wonder where
St.
that is
Lucie.
by me.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, if he's in the same state, it'd be cool if I can just get him in person.
And that would be super cool. Wait, you're in
Yeah.
Florida too now? You're still in Florida?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm still in Florida right now. I'm in Cape
Okay.
Coral, but I'm moving back to Orlando in a couple of months.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm saving for a house right now, so we're waiting because we have to wait for the new year to finish because I need to be a self-employed for 2 years
Okay.
before mortgage people can like see my income as actual real income.
Got it.
So in January, February is when I'll be going back to Orlando, and like I do plan on. Cause we're gonna get a 3 bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the rooms is going to be my office. So I
Okay.
do plan on like kind of like making like a nice like couch in the background and like inviting people
I
in
love that.
person for the podcast and really
Oh,
up
that
my
sounds so
game
cool.
there. So I may just like I do want to interview him. I probably will wait until maybe that's all taken care of so we can be in
Yeah.
person and everything and he can
Absolutely.
yeah. But no, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he probably want to be on. I see
Yeah.
he supports MAB all the time. I
Oh
see his
yeah,
name
and
all the time.
also my music and everything. I mean, my
Yeah,
brother's just an incredible person, and he's
he
been like really
is.
inspiring to me and my story. I mean, like, just going off of that story, and that's just like one of the amazing things he's done, is just it just proves, like, don't give up. Like, just because you fell down once or twice or three times or even 10 times, like, get back up. If you're passionate about it, you get back up. And you falling is a part of your journey, you failing is a part of your journey that is building you up to that success, so don't see it as a loss. See it as something that needed to happen for you to get to where you need to be.
There
So
was someone I interviewed. I don't know who it was, or maybe it was one of my sayings. I don't know. But the biggest thing that sticks with me is ask yourself like these questions like, are you breathing? Are you alive? Are you healthy? If you are, then keep fucking going. Like
I love it.
it's true. There's no reason to give up like on your passion. Like you're alive. Like what?
Yep. Yep.
Like there's no reason. It's just, and it's like because we all get into our own heads. And I think too, it's like a lot of people think, oh, well, this person's talking about me, or well, this person thinks this of me, yada yada yada. But in reality, everyone is so thinking about themselves and what's going on in their lives that they don't care. And I think people think in this way, and our minds are like programmed that way because, like, if you think about like in high school and grade school, when you're young and such, like people have more time on their hands to really actually be like picking on somebody. So if you're someone who has been bullied, like you have this one particular person that's constantly making your life a living hell for like a couple of years. So you automatically think like your brain is programmed to look out for danger.
Yep.
And then now it's like we have
Yep.
to heal and realize like no one's gonna be bullying you the way someone bullied you in high school or in grade school. Like no one's gonna and plus if they do, it's like who like just fuck them. Like bye. Like it's like I mean, I guess it'll only suck if you're like in a work environment, you have to deal with them. But
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
HR
There's
is
always
for,
gonna
I
be rude
guess.
people. Yeah, that right. They better have a good HR team. It's like
Yeah.
you're like going for a job interview. Do you have a good HR team? Because I was bullied in high school, and I'm not gonna go through that again.
There was this funny TikTok or reel or something. It was a video that was like going around social media, and then apparently there's like a lot of screaming in the background. This lady's just like, "I can't be around this. I just graduated anger management. I can't be around this." Like, oh my god,
I
it's
love that
so.
so much.
I think a lot of people have so much negative thoughts about our world, but it's we all need to like really focus on all the good stuff. Like the way mental health is talked about now. Like I remember feeling so alone. Like if I did vent to like a friend or whatever, they would like not respond to my text messages. Like I had a lot of that. I had a lot
Mm.
of that, and people just thought I was annoying because of my venting and yada yada yada. But then later down the road, I'm diagnosed with BPD, so it's like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so all these times that I thought that I was like being super annoying and everything, it's like it's just I feel things a lot more than others and my brain is just going miles,
You're an
I'm just
empath.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that too. So I'm trying to think of where I was going with this. Like I always do this. I go like this whole thing and I'm like, what was my point? Like
Story of my life. That is the story of my life. It's all
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
It's
for
all good.
real.
I just walked into the kitchen before and I went to go grab something. I'm like, what did I even come into this room for? You ever have those moments?
Oh,
I
all the
think I
time.
have them at
I
least like three
think
times a day.
everybody has that. And apparently, from what I've learned, it's like when you enter a new room and you go to a new environment, your brain kind of does a little reset.
Yep.
Yeah, I learned
Yep.
that in like the psychology books in college using my
Yeah.
using my degree.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
let's talk about what we've been waiting for too as well. I don't think I even brought up in the beginning, but we all know you're a singer songwriter and you just came out with a new song.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. And I will play a little snippet like at the end of this episode so people can hear a little bit of it, but then they have to, jump onto Spotify or Apple or whatever it's on to listen to the full thing because you guys support you.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, please.
Yes, that's
That
how
would be
people
great.
grow. It's like you're gonna get a little snippet on here, but you're gonna hop on over to like the actual like song. So let's talk about it. So here's the
Yes.
floor.
Oh, yes. Breaking Out is a song that it's my first ever EDM song.
It's
I
so good.
usually don't do EDM music. I maybe dabbled with it a little bit, but at least artistically, like written to an EDM song. But there was this phenomenal, one of the best producers and DJs that I know, Honu, who's a producer from Hawaii. He now is in Arizona. He hit me up through Instagram and he was like, "Hey, like there aren't really a lot of singers in the EDM space, like you have a really cool like different voice and I would love to collaborate with you." And at first I was like, I don't know, because I've never really done that type of style of music, but
Mhm.
I like listening to it and it's very uplifting. It's like you kind
Yeah.
of just want to like dance and like jump into a crowd and crowd surf. Um And he was working on a record with Nico Bray, which is a producer from Germany, which I'm actually collaborating on another mental health song with him right now as we
Are we
speak.
allowed
So
to
we
know
got
like the
another one
name of
coming.
it or no?
It is called By Your Side.
Okay.
By Your Side. Or Right Here by Your side. I haven't decided yet. It's something by your side.
So it's like still in like the process of production.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Okay.
definitely in
So
the
it's
early
still like in
stages.
the early. Okay.
Yeah, I like wrote it like 3 mornings ago. Like that's how like
Oh,
early
okay.
it is. But that's that song coming up. But yeah, so Honu came to me with this amazing, song, and I think he sent me 3 songs on what he needed like vocals for these songs. So it's like, let me just take a listen to this guy. Let me like give this a chance.
Yeah.
As soon as I think it was like the second one that I heard from the 3 songs he sent me, as soon as it started, I would like the lyrics and the melody just like fell right out of me. I think it was actually like the melody first,
Mhm.
and then when the drop hit with like breaking out, like where that part comes, that just fell right out of me, like with lyrics and melody and everything. And I was like, okay, this is when that happens as a writer, when I listen to someone's beat or someone's idea, and
Mhm.
that just comes right out without forcing, without trying, like that's when I know it's going to be special,
Mhm.
and it's going to be a record that I'm going to be on. Like that's how I know. It's like a feeling thing, the way that it
Mhm.
happens. So I think it was like about a 2 week process of writing and just like getting things the right way. I
Mhm.
recorded in this very studio right here. So instead of having a dining room here in my apartment, it's a music studio. So
Upgrade.
yeah, that's we sacrifice that. So we have a little kitchen table inside of the kitchen, and this is ours. Is our dining room is the studio.
Love
So I
that.
recorded the vocals here, and then I sent him the files, and
Mhm.
then he plugged it right into the he started building the beat a little bit more, producing it a little bit more, and was able to mix my vocals in and everything. So this was like completely virtual. We've never met
Mhm.
each other before, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then a year later, well actually technically I think like 6 months ago, they were pitching it to different record labels because they wanted it, in the EDM world, it's good to have some backing from a label to get it, the exposure and get some financial backing, right?
Mhm.
So Honu pitched it to, I think like I want to say maybe like 10 labels. So it was a few labels. And I remember there was two of them interested. One of them was Space Yacht. And Space Yacht ended up signing it, and I absolutely love them, and they represent a lot of talented artists, and they signed it to a winter compilation, that's called the Tune Reactor Volume 1 compilation. So the song is within like like an album pretty much with other
Mhm.
EDM artists and
Mm.
songs and things like that. So that's breaking out of here, and now what the song is about, that's really important. So and when I was writing it, I wasn't really in a depressive state, I don't remember, or in a dark place. um but it is about anxiety and depression because I know what it is to be in a dark place like that.
Mhm.
I know, obviously, from hearing my story, and there are moments that I still have those moments, and
Yeah.
even though I've healed, it's we're only human. There's sometimes we're gonna have really shitty days. We're not gonna want to get out of bed, and we're gonna want to just throw in the towel. So I really wrote that song coming from that place because I feel like everyone has days like that, and I really wanted this song to really reach out to those people
Mhm.
and help them feel like they're not alone with what they're going through, and they can break out of their anxiety and depression, and they can break out of that dark place like I have. And that feeling that you have is not going to last forever. There's always a way out. So in the song, I start off with the first verse like, I've been underwater lately,
Mhm.
keeping myself here, so I've been holding myself underwater, but I
Mhm.
just want to break myself free. I'm breaking out of here, like, because I feel like with
That's
anxiety
how
and
depression
depression,
feels.
that's literally how I feel. Like you're underwater and
Mhm.
like you can't break the surface and like you
Mhm.
can't breathe. Like that's how it feels like. And the song is also about like just not also waiting for somebody to save you and you saving
Yeah.
yourself, because the only way that you're gonna heal and break out of that dark place is you.
Mhm.
And if you put that power in someone else's hands, you know what I mean, you're giving that power to that person. So it's like the way that you're going to heal and get out of it is by self-healing and healing yourself and breaking out yourself. So like that is really the heart of the song. That's what it's about. So I hope that my hopes are our hopes are that the world receives this song as something very uplifting, positive, that you can just dance to and feel good to. Hopefully, maybe we can perform at Coachella. That would be freaking awesome.
Manifest
Oh,
that.
I'm
That would
gonna
be
put it
really
on my
cool.
manifestation board.
You should. Coachella, like they have like a bunch of like EDM, festivals, and I feel like that song I could see being played. It's so
Yeah,
good. Did
yeah.
you
Aw,
did
thank you
this
so much.
was this song originally supposed to be a mental health song?
No, I mean, well, like I never really like sit down and say I'm gonna write this type of song. Like I never really like, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm actually
I've
curious to see
been,
your thought process.
yeah, I mean, unless it's like, I've been in such where, I've collaborated with other artists and producers that are like, we're looking for this type of song.
Hmm.
But in terms of like me as a writer, like all my Reina Mar songs, and it just flows. Like I hear it, and whatever lyrics come out, sometimes it can be a chorus, sometimes it can be a verse, sometimes it could just be words without a melody.
Hmm.
For me, usually the melody comes first in my experience, and then the melody kind of like just from like the feel and the vibe, the lyrics
Hmm.
come,
Oh,
so it's
okay.
almost like if you can put like with color, like if you
Uh-huh.
can just think of like an or like connect an emotion to a color. Like for me, like calm and soothing is like lavender. Like that's my safe color, right? And
That's
it's
my
kind of
brand
the same
color.
thing, right? I know, yeah, it is your brand color. I love that color so much. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing when you hear a song or a melody and it doesn't have words, you can feel what it's about
Okay. Yeah, I can
almost,
see that.
so that's kind of like my process, my writing process and my creative process. It's just I'm really just
Like the vibe of
being
the
present in the
song. Like, okay, it's
moment.
gonna be this kind of
Yeah,
song. Okay, yeah, that
it's
totally
gonna
makes
be this kind of
sense.
song. And sometimes I end up writing a song and I'm like, oh, I think it's gonna be this song, and then I finish it and then I'm just like, wait, it's this song. It just kind of goes along this journey, and I don't judge it. I
Hmm.
just let it be. I let it flow right out of me, and that's why like my music is very diverse. Like you can have like a Latin pop song like Picante that
Yeah.
just came out, and spicy Latina, performing out in Jersey City, and then you have this EDM like pop song, and then you have a ballad. Like this next song is gonna be a freaking ballad, So I just let myself flow, and I don't judge it.
Yeah,
It's
it
kind of
also
my
helps
process.
you see where your music career, like what direction it's gonna go. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you are a very open-minded person, and a lot of your music, was Latin, but also kind of like pop and like fun and like it. You definitely have different sounds, but you're still so like you're still like you're early in your journey where it's like, okay, you can do that. This is the time for you to experiment. Like this is the perfect time.
Exactly.
So you could have, because like I feel like when you're like longer in, I mean, people can always change their sound whenever they want, of course,
And
but but
rebrand and yep.
exactly. But then
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be getting a lot of people giving like their like opinion in like a very rude way. Like for example, one example is Machine Gun Kelly. He went from rap to rock, and
Yep.
in my
Yep.
head, I don't care what you do, whatever, do what you gotta do, be you. But
Yep.
then some people are like, oh, sell out, oh this, like, you have all of that extra stuff. So right now, like, I mean, you do have a following, so I mean people could do that, but like you kind of
Yeah, no, and
have,
I've
yeah,
had people. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But
Like, oh, you should do more of this and less of
yeah, like
this,
this is like
and
your time to
yeah.
experiment. And
Hmm. And,
yeah.
and and one thing I will say, Justine, too, and this goes for artists, this goes for anyone that has a business, a brand, or
Hmm.
like, yes, there should be consistency. I
Yeah.
definitely believe that.
Hmm.
Now, in terms of like an artist, I feel like if you are creating from an authentic, real place,
Hmm.
there are going to be people, no matter how different this record is from the next, there are going to be people that are going to resonate with you and are going to be
Hmm.
attracted to you. Doesn't matter if you're singing a ballad, doesn't matter if you're singing a rap song, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel. That's why, because
Hmm.
I used to judge and I struggled with that a lot. I'm just like, oh my God, like I used to see myself as like, I'm a Latin pop artist. I came out with Novella, which was like a bilingual song. And like, this is who I am, but then it's like, nah, not really. I have so many different parts of myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna let myself flow and just be real and authentic until, let's, maybe something really blows up, and maybe I focus a little bit more on that. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I'm just like in that stage, and I feel like a lot of people will create for others and for
Mm-hmm.
their audience, and that's okay too. But
To
like,
an
if
extent,
you're not
yeah.
really enjoying it to an extent, if
Yeah.
you're not really coming from an authentic place, like that can only get you so far. And that's why I feel like a lot of celebrities and a lot of creatives and artists out there, they're depressed. They feel like, oh my god, like I have this image that I've created that's not really me, and now I have to
Mm.
uphold it, and now if I don't uphold it, then everybody hates me, right?
Oh, that's
So
horrible.
if
Yeah.
you and I just like, I'm that type of person, like I don't want to be that. I want to
Yeah.
be my true authentic self. And whatever, maybe there's a part of myself that people resonate more towards, and that's kind of like where I'm at, just experimenting with different parts of me, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
trying to be someone that like I'm not,
Yeah, because
kind of like
and
that.
it's good that you have that mindset early on because a lot of people would just do anything, to get famous. Like, okay, you want me to sing this, I'll sing this, and then at the end of the time, like you're becoming a puppet with the label.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like yeah, and I know like there's a lot of artists that used to have signed with a label and then they like it messed with them and that's unfortunate. Like some people who would get to that really deep dark depression, and it's because they feel like they're just like they don't know who they are anymore. So
Yeah.
it's so important to yeah, of course you're gonna obviously want feedback from your fans and you do want to entertain your fans. You are an entertainer at the end of the day. It's a job, but it's like being an artist, it's like if it's I just feel like the whole thing of being an artist is literally doing what you feel like what's coming out of you. Like that's literally what being creative and being artistic is like you're not a puppet. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing is like you're not a puppet. I mean, and there is unfortunately like some of the biggest stars became puppets. I'm sure Justin Bieber went through a moment. I mean, he did. I think he
Oh
did.
yeah.
On to like protect yourself so you never like have to go through that. And it's
Yeah.
it's good that like Britney Spears coming forward, Justin Bieber, like all these people, a lot of them are coming forward and like literally warning you of the darkness in Hollywood and such. Like there's even like
There's a lot of
podcasts.
darkness.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is. There's even like podcasts now where all of these like big people are coming on, like it's what they could legally of course talk about. I think if you're signed to a label you probably have like an NDA or something, but now that they're
Yeah.
off it, like Allison Stoner, she has a whole I think it's a picture of the
Yeah.
podcast, it's like Dear Hollywood or something like that, and she
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
reveals everything. Like she left the space and she's like, I'm gonna tell you guys what the fuck happened. Like
Yeah, there were some things that she said on that. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
yeah,
That
I'm hearing
you would have
more and
never known.
more every day. There's more people coming forward. And it's because of these, because now we have podcasts where, like, I almost didn't start a podcast because I thought I had to be famous. I thought I had to be like, no, for real though. Like, I already know how YouTube, like, easy, just make a YouTube channel, call it a day. But, like, with podcasts, at the time, I think it was mostly just like bigger names that had
Hmm.
podcasts. And I was like, okay, well, like, I'm really a nobody. Like, I don't think I could. I don't even know how to make a podcast because you see it on Spotify, you see it on Apple Music, all these big platforms, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how the heck do I make a podcast? So,
It's
but
intimidating.
yeah, well,
It can be
that I literally
intimidating.
thought I couldn't do it. Like, I thought I needed like a whole like money to put money towards it. I mean, the most I pay my
Yeah.
podcast, I do pay like money for this program a month, but it's like
Yeah.
nothing crazy. Like the overhead's like not that much,
It's
like
not
less than
much. Yeah.
fifty
And actually
bucks.
I felt the same way, starting a business, starting Reina Fit. Like I was like, oh, don't I have to go to business school? Don't I have to do, and I'm just like, and then I did a business coaching program for fitness coaches, and I learned that like I didn't even have to have a freaking certification. I mean, like, I thought I
Yeah.
had all these things, but it's kind of one of those things, like just take the messy action and just start. If you're passionate about it, that's all you
Hmm.
need, right? Because that's
Yeah.
going to give you the drive to keep going. You got to start somewhere. You got to start from somewhere.
Right.
So I'm glad that you came out with this podcast, because like people really need to feel like they're not alone, and that's exactly what this is doing. You're connecting with the ones that have struggled with the things that we've struggled with, and that
Hmm.
is forming a sense of like community, so that people don't feel like they're alone. So I kudos to
Exactly.
you. Like you should be really, really proud.
Oh,
I'm
thanks,
proud of
Rosa.
you. for
I
starting this. We I feel like we there's been more podcasts coming out, and it's been more, I guess, socially acceptable, right? To like talk
Mhm.
about mental health, and it has come a long way. We still have some work to do in terms of
Oh yeah.
creating more of a platform, but yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad we're on a trajectory.
absolutely. I do have one more question. This will be the last question. I promise.
Sure.
So we talked about obviously the whole theme of this whole episode was depression, artists and such. What if you need to get, let's say, a song written or produced and you have to work pretty much, and you need you obviously your creative juices, but you're going through a depressive episode. What do you do during that? Like what advice could you provide for my audience, but also for me as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what I do is, obviously, when I'm in a state like that, the best thing to do is, because sometimes I get writer's block, or I feel
Mhm.
so burnt out,
Mhm.
and my creative juices are just, they're dry, like there's nothing there. So I can't go into the studio and record or write, because what's kind of come out is, it's not going to be authentic, it's not going to be from a good place. So what I do is I call it like taking my inner child out on a date. I
Okay.
actually, it's so funny because my a holistic vocal coach that I work with, that actually works with a lot of my clients, Christina, we had this conversation, and she actually gave me this idea, and it's been very helpful. I take my inner child out on a date. So a lot of the times when we feel depressed, when we feel angry or emotional, our inner child needs attention and needs nurturing. So what
Mhm.
I do is I go out for a walk, on a long walk, and I go
Mhm.
and grab an iced coffee, because I'm obsessed with iced coffee.
Me too.
and um I walk alongside my inner child, and I have a
Mhm.
conversation with her, like, what do you need from me right now to
Mhm.
make you feel safe, to make you feel like you're okay, you know what I mean? and
Mhm.
and I accept the way that I feel. I
Mhm.
become kind of one with that emotion and with that pain, and I don't feel ashamed of it. I don't judge it and feel ashamed, because a lot of times it's like, when you're depressed,
Mhm.
sometimes we turn the daggers towards ourselves, like, why do you feel this way, and we beat ourselves up for feeling the way that we do. But at the end of the day, we're human, and those feelings are going to come up, right? So I really just take that step back, and just taking that beat, and I ask myself, my inner child, my body, what do you need from me right now to feel safe and to feel okay?
Yeah.
And for me, and for everybody's going to be different. For you, it might be different, right?
Mhm.
Some people, they maybe they take a bubble bath, or read a uplifting book, or see an uplifting movie. Sometimes I do that. Me, I go on long walks, and I love listening to theta waves, which is it's like a
I
healing,
love data waves.
yeah, it's a healing
Used
meditation.
it a
And
lot in
I'll
college.
yeah, and
Mhm.
so sometimes I'll meditate with that, or I'll walk and
Mhm.
I'll listen to it,
Mhm.
and I'll have that inner conversation with my inner child, and that's how I heal myself, and I dig my or get myself out, dig myself out of that dark place, with my iced coffee. Yeah, that's kind of like my thought process. I just take a step back,
Mhm.
and then when I feel ready to then go back into the studio and to write and do what I have to do, then I'm in a way better place.
That is really good advice. Especially like the term, the name and term is like inner child date.
Yeah,
That is,
yeah,
I've never heard
take
that
them out on a
before.
date.
That is actually super smart. I mean, some people do like, oh, you take yourself on a date, yada yada, but I never heard of inner child date. That may also like
Hmm.
me to you, a social media manager to you. It'd be good to do like a date, like taking, like showing people what you do on an inner child date and doing like a little vlog. That is so
Yeah, I'm
cool.
actually, that's a great idea. And you know what's crazy? The next song that I wrote, By Your Side, I actually wrote it in dedication to my inner child. But the way that I wrote it is like, and I also wrote it for people so that it can help them heal and their inner child heal. But I actually wrote it to my inner child, but it can be interpreted,
I love
different
that.
ways. It can be maybe God speaking to that person, you talking to your inner child, or you maybe comforting a friend, like you saying, "Hey, I'm by your side. You're not alone."
Mhm.
And but that was really me just talking to like my inner child, because like, when we feel depressed, when we feel like we're in a dark spot, that's our childhood trauma and things
Mhm.
that have built up
That's like coming to
inside of
the
us that we still haven't
surface.
healed from.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even from the past abusive relationship that I've been in, that and I'm still healing from that. There are
Yeah.
moments where emotions come up, and it's
Mhm.
just like maybe something's not really happening in that moment, maybe something triggered it, but it's from that situation. And that's where I have to take a step back and be like, okay, you're safe, you're okay, like it's gonna be okay, like you're present, you're here, my feet are here, I'm
Mhm.
here, I'm safe. And
Mhm.
you have to, that's how you self heal and how you ground yourself in the present, because sometimes we go back to the past sometimes.
Yeah, our brain just likes to
It
take us
affects us.
down the memory lane that we don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For
Wow.
sure. Yeah, but I hope that
Well,
helps anybody out
yeah,
there.
no, honestly, I'm gonna take that advice. That's amazing. I may also even do my own video on and bring that idea onto content. That's a really good idea. I never even thought of that. I gotta like text Ariel later and like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
tell her this. But no, that's so
Yeah.
smart. But
I actually
but
have like the holistic vocal coach I was talking to, like
mhm.
her idea of going, like taking her inner child out on a day. She loves running in the rain and dancing in the rain. When she does that, she feels really good after. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like, oh my God,
Because you're going
it can
you're
be
going with
anything.
nature.
Yeah, it can be
You're really
anything.
that's grounding.
It can be, like you going and taking out yourself for ice cream, going to a movie by yourself,
Go to the
like
mall, do some window shopping. I think I'm gonna do that because I used to love going to the mall all the time. So I sometimes will just like
yeah.
if I do go out and take myself on a date, it's always like to get sushi or something like that. 'Cause I love sushi, and I'll sit by myself and I'll eat my
I love
sushi.
sushi too. Oh my God.
Uh,
When I come visit
yeah,
you in Florida, we're getting sushi.
yeah. When are you coming?
I know. Well, I'm gonna be coming a whole lot because now my mom's over there, my grandmother's over there, my
Oh,
brother.
really? Really?
They're
I didn't
all
know
over
like
there
your whole
now.
family. Really?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
it's
everybody
amazing.
from New Jersey is like migrating over to Florida lately.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, ever since the pandemic, everybody's like, "All right, screw Jersey, screw New York. I'm going to Florida." Yeah.
Yeah, my parents moved here in 2022.
Oh, did they really? They also moved
Yeah,
to
so it's
Florida.
just like my sister over there now, really.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. So I'm like your sister then, because I'm like the last one. I mean, my dad's here, but he's also going to friggin' Florida. So
No
like
way. You'll
at
find
one
your
point,
way here,
yeah.
Rick. Well, I mean, with your career, I would recommend either New York or LA for your career purposes. But I mean, you can
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
technically, yeah. Anyway, before I keep rambling on, I think I'm gonna end it right here because I think this is beautiful to end off on the inner child date. So, you guys like are feeling in a dark place, like literally, just like leave the house and just take yourself on a date. Like, do it. Like fuck anyone who stares at you or anything like that. Because some people get scared to be alone. Like I honestly think it's great. I love being alone or
Yeah.
going outside. I'm like I'm just because you're not distracted by like having to like talk to whoever you're with. You're just kind of like experiencing the world. Doesn't it feel very
Yeah.
quiet too? It feels very quiet. It's like
Absolutely.
I'm on this world right now. You can become so self aware that you're like
Yeah, no,
alive.
absolutely. It's seriously, that's exactly what it is. Just becoming self-aware and just like being like present with your emotions and not like turning away from it and just again
Right.
accepting it. And it's crazy because breaking out, I wrote that
It
on an
literally
inner
means
child
that.
date. I
No
literally wrote that.
way.
I went to Dunkin' Donuts. I got
Uh
myself
huh.
a nice coffee and I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't really feeling it for a few days, but I knew that I had to write the song. And I went to the park, where's by the lake, if you know where Lake
Yeah, I
Louise
like
is.
that.
I
That
was
big
there
lake.
like writing. Yeah, I was right. I sat there with my coffee and I heard the song
And
and
I
I
know which
started
Duncan you're
writing it.
talking about too.
Yeah, yeah. And I
I know
started writing it.
exactly.
I was like, woo.
It took
And it
no,
just,
that lake
again,
is
it just like
nice.
came out. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah. So I actually wrote it while I was on one of those dates with myself,
look
which
at
was pretty fun.
that. Look at that. That's like proof right there scientifically. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, Rosa, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I really appreciate you taking the
Absolutely. It
time
was a pleasure.
to sit down and talk to me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I really love everything you do. Seriously. Thank you
Aw,
for what you do. Thank you for having me. And I'm
of
sure it
course.
won't be the last time, right?
Girl, yeah, I mean, I'm asking you guys too if you guys want her to come back on this podcast. Always You can let us know, DM, email, and such. But also, if you're on Spotify, I always put a poll on there. But like, do you guys want
Nice.
her to come back? Yeah. So anyway, to the people who are listening, thank you guys so much for listening, and hang on because we're gonna show. Well, not show. You're gonna hear a little teaser of her new song. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm gonna click
Thank you.
stop.